high, high above the sleeping world, where the winds whisper lullabies and the sky is a vast, blue playground, lived a little cloud named Leo. He was whiter and fluffier than any of his friends, and his edges were as soft as freshly spun cotton. The sky was a wonderful place to live. Every day, the clouds would play the most amazing games. They would puff themselves up into grand, towering castles with fluffy turrets, or stretch themselves out into long, sleek dragons with wispy tails. They would race each other as swift, white horses or float serenely as majestic ships sailing on the sea of air. But Leo couldn't join in these games, and it made his little cloud heart ache. No matter how hard he tried, no matter how much he stretched or squeezed or puffed, he could only ever make one single shape. He would try to make a pointy horn for a unicorn, but it would soften and round out. He would try to make a long neck for a giraffe, but it would curl back on itself. Every single time, without fail, he would end up as a perfect, plump, and beautiful heart. And in a world of magnificent dragons and castles, being a simple heart felt very small indeed. One of Leo's best friends was a very large and very old cloud named Nimbus. He was a gentle, wise soul, the color of a soft morning rain, and he could make the most wonderful shapes of all. He saw Leo looking sad and drifted over effortlessly, shaping himself into a cheerful, long-eared rabbit. "It is a lovely heart, Leo," Nimbus's voice rumbled, soft and low like distant, gentle thunder. "It's the most perfect heart in the entire sky." Leo sighed, a little wisp of vapor escaping him. "But I don't want to be a heart," he mumbled. "I want to be a dragon with spiky scales and a long tail, or a pirate ship with big, puffy sails. Why can't I be something else?" Nimbus's rabbit-shaped nose twitched thoughtfully. "All clouds have a shape they are best at," he said kindly. "A shape that comes from their heart. Perhaps you are a heart because that is your true shape, and perhaps that is a very special thing to be." But Leo was too sad to understand. He watched as Nimbus playfully hopped through the air, his fluffy rabbit form perfect in every detail, and he just felt more clumsy and useless than ever. He appreciated his friend's kind words, but he didn't want to be a special heart. He just wanted to be like everyone else, to be a part of their exciting, shape-changing games. Feeling more discouraged than ever, Leo decided he couldn't stay and watch the games anymore. It just made his heart ache. While the other clouds were busy starting a grand race as dragons and phoenixes, Leo turned away. He didn't try to steer himself, he just let the high, lonely winds catch him and carry him away from his friends and his home. He drifted silently, a single, sad heart floating in the vast, empty blue. He looked down, and the world below was a beautiful patchwork quilt of green fields, dark forests, and sparkling blue rivers. He floated over a bustling city where tiny cars and people moved like busy ants, all hurrying and scurrying, their faces pointed down at the pavement. No one looked up. No one seemed to notice the lonely little heart cloud passing overhead. This made Leo feel even smaller and more invisible. What was the point of being a heart if no one ever saw you? He was just a speck of white in an endless sky, a shape without a purpose. He closed his big, dark eyes for a moment, wishing he could just dissolve into nothing, to become a part of the blue and disappear forever. But the wind was steady, carrying him onward over the busy city and towards the quieter, greener places beyond. The wind carried Leo away from the noisy city and over a large, peaceful green park. He opened his eyes and saw children playing, their laughter too far away to hear. But not everyone was playing. On a small wooden bench under a large, shady oak tree, a little girl was sitting all by herself. Her head was bowed and her shoulders were slumped. Even from high above, Leo could feel her sadness. He floated directly over the park, his own lonely heart feeling a strange connection to the lonely little girl below. Just then, she must have felt a change in the light, because she lifted her head and looked up at the sky. Her sad little face suddenly changed. Her eyes grew wide, and a slow, beautiful smile spread across her lips. She had seen him. She stood up on the bench and pointed with her tiny finger. Her voice, a happy, excited sound that carried all the way up to Leo. "Mummy, look," she cried. "A heart." The sky made a heart for me. Her mother looked up and smiled, too, hugging her. "Daughter, close." Seeing the little girl's sadness turn to pure joy made a warm, strange feeling flutter inside Leo. He wasn't just a useless shape. His heart shape had made someone happy. For the first time all day, Leo felt a tiny puff of pride. Feeling a little lighter, Leo continued to drift on the wind, leaving the happy girl and the park behind. The wind carried him over rolling green hills and wide, open fields dotted with fluffy white sheep, who looked like little clouds themselves scattered across the grass. As he floated closer, he saw that one flock of sheep was not peacefully grazing. They were huddled together in a tight, nervous bunch, their eyes wide with fear. A farmer's dog, who was only trying to play, was barking excitedly and running circles around them, but the sheep didn't understand. They thought they were in danger. Leo watched them, feeling a wave of sympathy for the frightened animals. As he floated directly over the flock, his perfect heart shape cast a large, clear shadow on the green grass below. The shadow moved slowly and gently over the huddled sheep. A strange thing happened. One by one, the sheep looked up from the barking dog and saw the gentle heart passing over them. The shadow was not scary or threatening. It was a soft, calm shape. As if by magic, a wave of peace seemed to wash over the flock. Their tense bodies relaxed, and they stopped bleating nervously. The farmer, noticing the change, called his dog, who came bounding back happily. The sheep, no longer afraid, began to spread out and graze peacefully, all under the silent, comforting watch of the heart in the sky. Leo realized his shape could do more than just bring smiles. It could bring peace. The wind, now smelling of salt and sea, carried Leo out over the vast, sparkling ocean. The water below was a deep, royal blue, and the waves were capped with white foam like tiny, fluffy clouds. Far below, on a small, rocky island, stood a tall, white lighthouse. Inside the very top of the lighthouse, an old lighthouse keeper was polishing the giant glass lens. He had a long, grey beard and a kind, wrinkled face, but his shoulders were slumped with a deep loneliness. For years, he had kept the light shining, a faithful guardian for ships he never saw. His only companions, the crying gulls and the endless sea. He paused in his work and sighed, looking out at the vast, empty sky. And then he saw Leo. His tired old eyes widened, and a slow, gentle smile spread across his face, a smile he hadn't felt in a very long time. He put down his polishing cloth and simply watched the perfect, solitary heart float by. It felt like a message from the heavens, a friendly wave from a sky that he had thought was empty. He felt a little less alone, a little less forgotten. Leo, from high above, felt the old man's gratitude like a warm, gentle updraft lifting his spirits even higher. He had brought a moment of comfort to a lonely soul, a simple, silent act of kindness that had crossed the vast expanse of the sky. The afternoon sun began to dip lower, painting the edges of the clouds in shades of gold and rose. The wind, gentler now, lifted Leo higher, carrying him towards a tall, lonely mountain that pierced the sky like a stone spear. On its very highest, most craggy peak, a single, magnificent eagle was perched. It was very old, its feathers a deep, rich brown, and its hooked beak the color of old ivory. It sat perfectly still, its sharp eyes looking out over the world with a tired, ancient wisdom. It looked noble and strong, but Leo could also sense a deep weariness in the old bird, the tiredness of a long life spent soaring in the lonely sky. Leo drifted silently towards the peak, his fluffy white heart a soft contrast against the rugged stone. The eagle turned its head slowly and fixed its powerful, intelligent gaze on him. It didn't seem surprised. It simply watched as Leo floated by. As Leo passed, the old bird let out a soft, low cry, a sound that was not a challenge, but a quiet acknowledgement. It watched the heart cloud until it was a tiny speck in the distance, and a look of deep, profound peace seemed to settle over its noble features. Leo felt it too. He understood that his shape was a universal message, one that could be understood by a small child in a park, a flock of frightened sheep, and even a wise old eagle on a lonely mountain. It was a message of comfort, a silent reminder of gentleness in a big, wide world. As he drifted away from the lighthouse, a new thought began to trouble Leo. He had made a little girl smile, calmed a flock of sheep, and comforted a lonely old man. These were all wonderful, quiet moments, but he still saw, in the distance, his friends having so much fun. They were now a fleet of grand pirate ships, their sails puffed out, racing towards a sunset that looked like spilled treasure. He saw them changing, shifting, and laughing in the wind, and a familiar pang of longing returned. Was what he was doing really as important as that? His little acts of comfort felt so small and quiet compared to the grand, exciting shapes his friends could make. A little wisp of doubt began to form inside him. Perhaps these were just happy accidents. Perhaps he was still just a simple, boring cloud who couldn't do what everyone else could. He began to feel his own fluffiness droop. A little, the perfect edges of his heart shape softening with a returning sadness. He wished Nimbus were here to tell him what to do, to reassure him that his shape was special. But he was all alone, with only his own doubtful thoughts for company, floating silently over the darkening sea. The joy he had felt began to seep away, replaced by the old, familiar ache of being different and left out. Leo closed his eyes, feeling very small and very sad. He was ready to just give up and let himself become a shapeless patch of fog. But as he closed his eyes, something wonderful happened. He didn't see darkness. Instead, he saw a picture in his mind, as clear as the sky on a sunny day. He saw the face of the little girl in the park, her eyes wide with pure, uncomplicated joy as she pointed up at him. He could almost hear her happy shout again. Then the picture shifted, and he saw the flock of sheep, their fear melting away as his peaceful shadow passed over them. He could feel their collective sigh of relief. The image changed again, and he saw the kind, wrinkled face of the lonely lighthouse keeper, a gentle, grateful smile lighting up his tired eyes. He saw the wise old eagle, its sharp gaze softening with a deep, ancient peace. These moments, which had felt so small before, now felt incredibly important. He wasn't making grand shapes for a game. He was creating feelings. He was sharing comfort, peace, and happiness. He was a silent, floating reminder of kindness in a world that sometimes forgot to look up. His friends, with their dragons and castles, were creating excitement and fun. But he, with his one simple shape, was touching hearts. Leo opened his eyes, and the doubt was gone, replaced by a deep and profound understanding. He looked at himself, at his own soft, white, and perfectly formed heart. It wasn't a mistake. It wasn't a limitation. It was his purpose. Just as the sun's purpose was to give warmth, and the moon's purpose was to watch over the night, his purpose was to be a heart. The sun was beginning to set now, and the entire sky was being painted with the most spectacular colors imaginable. Rivers of deep orange, soft pink, and vibrant gold flowed all around him. And the sea below reflected the beauty, becoming a mirror of liquid fire. In the middle of all this magnificent, breathtaking beauty, Leo floated, no longer feeling small or plain. He realized he was a part of it all. He was the sky's own heart, a symbol of the love and beauty that was being painted across the world in that very moment. He wasn't just a cloud, he was a feeling. He was the feeling of comfort you get from a warm hug, the feeling of peace you get from a beautiful sunset, the feeling of joy you get from a sudden, happy surprise. And he didn't need to be a dragon to feel that way. He just needed to be himself. As the last sliver of the sun disappeared below the horizon, the winds began to shift. A gentle, steady breeze, the one that always carries the clouds home to rest for the night, began to nudge him. This time, Leo didn't drift aimlessly. With a newfound sense of purpose, he turned and let the wind guide him back towards the east, back towards the sky playground where his friends would be gathering. He flew with a calm and happy grace, his heart shape perfectly defined and proud. He passed back over the tall mountain, and he imagined the old eagle was now asleep, dreaming peaceful dreams. He floated over the green fields, where the sheep were now just sleepy, white dots in the gathering dusk. He passed over the city, where the lights were beginning to turn on, creating a new kind of constellation on the ground below. He looked at it all with a new perspective, not as an outsider, but as a quiet guardian. He was a part of the world's gentle, sleepy rhythm. The journey back was not a lonely one. He felt the company of the stars as they began to prick the darkening sky, and he felt the steady, friendly push of the wind at his back. He was going home, not in defeat, but in quiet triumph, having discovered the wonderful secret of his own heart. As Leo neared the place where the clouds gathered to rest, he saw them. His friends had finished their games and were now drifting peacefully, their grand shapes softening as they prepared for a night of sleep. He flew towards them, feeling no envy, only a quiet happiness to be rejoining them. Nimbus, the wise old rain cloud, saw him coming. With a soft, rumbling chuckle, Nimbus gently shifted his own form. He didn't make a dragon or a castle. He puffed and nudged his own grey fluff until he had formed a big, soft, gentle heart, just like Leo's. Seeing this, another cloud, and then another, did the same. A little ripple of kindness spread through the gathering. Soon, the entire sky was filled with them. There were big, grey heart clouds, small, wispy heart clouds, and long, feathery heart clouds. It was a sky painted with hearts, a silent, beautiful welcome home for their friend. They had seen his journey. They had felt the waves of happiness and peace he had spread across the world below, and they understood. They were showing him, in the only way clouds can, that they finally saw the magic and importance of his special shape. It was the most beautiful welcome he could have ever imagined. Leo floated into the middle of the gathering, his own little heart shape now glowing with an inner happiness that was brighter than any firefly. His friends drifted closer, bumping him gently in a soft, fluffy cloud hug. "We saw what you did." Nimbus's voice rumbled peacefully. "Your shape brought smiles to the sad and peace to the frightened. That is a kind of magic much more important than making a dragon's tail." The other clouds all murmured their agreement, a sound like the softest, most gentle breeze. Leo felt a warmth spread through him that had nothing to do with the sun. It was the warmth of friendship, of being seen and understood for who he truly was. He realized that all this time he had been trying so hard to be like them, when all he needed to do was be himself. His friends hadn't wanted him to be a dragon or a castle. They had just wanted him to be happy, and now he was. He wasn't Leo the cloud who could only make one shape. He was Leo, the heart of the sky, the bringer of comfort, and his friends finally saw and celebrated him for the unique and wonderful cloud he had always been. From that day on, everything was different. Leo still played with his friends in the great sky playground, but he no longer felt sad or left out. He had a new and very important role in their games, when they would create a grand kingdom of towering cloud castles. He would float high above, becoming the kingdom's official royal emblem, a symbol of its kind and gentle heart. When they would become a fleet of pirate ships, he would float above them as their flag, a sign that they were friendly. Pirates on a quest for adventure, not trouble. Sometimes, when a new little cloud was just learning how to make shapes and felt clumsy and frustrated, Leo would simply float beside them, his gentle heart shape a silent, comforting reminder that it was okay to be exactly who you are. He had found his place. He was not just another shape in the sky. He was a feeling, a message. He was the sky's way of sending a quiet "I love you" down to the world below, a reminder that even when things seem big and scary, there is always kindness, comfort, and peace to be found if you just remember to look up. That night, as the moon cast its silvery glow over the sleeping world, Leo drifted peacefully among his friends. They had all softened their shapes now, becoming a gentle, hazy sea of soft, white and grey fluff, ready for a long and restful sleep. Leo too felt a deep and wonderful sleepiness. He closed his large dark eyes, his perfect heart shape a small white beacon of peace in the vast starry sky. He was no longer worried about what he would be tomorrow. He knew that when he woke up, he would be a heart, and he was happy. He dreamed of the little girl in the park, of the peaceful sheep, and of the kind old lighthouse keeper. He dreamed of the wise eagle and his even wiser friend, Nimbus. His dreams were not of grand adventures or exciting races, but of small, quiet moments of kindness. And as he slept, a gentle breeze carried him slowly across the night sky, a silent, sleeping messenger of peace, a perfect, fluffy heart watching over the dreams of the world below. And so, Leo, the little cloud, learned to love his special shape, a reminder that the kindest magic is often the most simple. Now, it's your turn to float away into your own soft, fluffy dreams. Close your eyes, feel yourself drifting peacefully, and sleep well. If you enjoyed our fable tonight, we hope you'll join us again. Please like and subscribe to Bedtimes Fable to help us share more gentle stories with the world. Sweet dreams.